Boo. Hello, hello, hello. Up. As cool as that is, that's not the vibe we're going for. That's not the vibe we're going for. Hello, Artem. Hello, hello, hello. Welcome in, welcome in. My name is Erwin, and I am the Archsage of Arcanum Exodius, our humble little library on this corner of the internet. Welcome, welcome, welcome. What are we doing tonight? Well, we're doing something I don't normally do. All right. Um, as some of you are aware, I'm doing very well. How are you? How's your Halloween going? Okay. How's your Halloween going? Uh, pa, 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 pa. Mhm. Sorry, I'm focused. I'm super duper focused. Shh. That's I'm sorries. I'm sorries. All right. So we're doing something special tonight. We're doing something really special. It's something I'll be very rarely that I will do. Okay. As some of you are aware, I've worked law and law adjacent jobs for quite a bit now. Okay. I'm approaching my 6th year of law school. But I've been part time, so hee hee. Um, but for the past 3 years, until very recently, I worked as a security guard at a hospital. Okay. And so I wanted to tell somebody asked me what I was going to do for Halloween. And I thought, what would be more terrifying than telling IRL stories? I don't think there really is anything more terrifying. Wait, I found something more terrifying. It's having two and streaming and having an event planned. And then they decide now of all times that they're going to start playing and howling in the background. Acorn Cop? No, I have not. I have not. What is Acorn Cop? Ba ba ba. Ba 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 ba. Ba ba ba. Setting up things in the background here. There we go. There we go. So I worked as a hospital security guard for the past 3 years until, which is a very law enforcement job. I've helped get people arrested. I've gotten into fights. I've been called every single name you can be for cops until they realize that I'm not a cop. And then that's when I get called fake cop, which sure, whatever. Sure. Whatever floats your boat. Whatever floats yon boat. But what we will be doing, okay, is we will be talking. All right. We will be talking about all the things I did. And I promise you, the terror. Oh. Yeah. Yeah, and then he got all. Yeah, it was something ridiculous. It was something absolutely ridiculous. Okay. But I promise you is that what we will. Yeah. Yeah, I'd have to look into it more. Yeah, I'd have to look into it more. We can talk about it later and all that, because it just depends on how long it takes to get through all these stories. I've written down about 15, all right? And the last one, you do want to stay. You want to come back at the very least. If you tab me out, okay, whatever, I don't need you. Yeah, I don't need you. No, 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 I don't need you. Nope. No, it's not like I disappear if I'm not being paid attention to. It's not like I'll just suddenly. What? Where'd I go? Oh. Oh. You stopped looking, didn't you? Could you do me a favor and could you start looking back at the screen? Don't tab me out. Other nights you can tab me out. That's fine. But tonight, okay. Oh, good. Thank you. Okay. All right. Whew. See, VTubers can only exist when you look at them. It's a rule. That's why we cause so much drama. We need the attention, otherwise we stop existing. All right. Tonight we are going to be talking about IRL True Crime-esque experiences that I had. And so if you're here for spooky, supernatural, you're probably not going to get that. All right. I'm going to tell you up front. The terror in this is a bit delayed, especially with how I'm going to tell them. But if you think about it, it's way scarier than any, I do mean any, supernatural, spooky thing. Because these are things that actually happened. These actually, I had to write reports. In some instances, I was reprimanded. In other instances, I was commended. And there was a lot. Okay? There was a lot that happened in those 3 years. So, all right. Now, I am gonna warn you, and this stream's 18 plus for a reason. There's gonna be a lot of heavy stuff that we're gonna talk about. I don't talk about being a hospital security guard, or even I don't talk about my being a judge's apprentice in detail a lot, because it tends to be a bit of a downer to most people. I know most people are really, really fascinated, but just to give you an idea, today I had to sit in court and listen to this woman who was sentenced for 20 to 30 years for being an accomplice to murder of a small child, of a 16-year-old, 15, 16-year-old. Okay? That's the normal day stuff for me. And I know most people are what? what? And it's like, yeah, we deal with that a lot. Sadly. Wish we didn't, but we do. And yeah. Especially since she was an accomplice for murder, because just to keep things very, very, very simple. I know there's going to be a lot of questions, but I don't want to go into the details and all of that stuff, because she was the driver of the getaway car. All right. However, the person who actually committed the murder had a gun and was ordering her around. She was a teacher and a mother of 3, and she was just in a really bad situation where implicitly she was basically told, A, help me commit this murder, or B, join the victim list. And that's that's rough. That's super rough. So we're going to be talking about a lot of heavy stuff like that. And I want to like really establish that right now. That's why I've made this 18 plus. That's why the warnings are on. All right. You two having fun? You two having fun? We're having a serious moment here. Huh, boy? We're having a serious moment, girl. Yes. Yes. Alright. Any questions? Anything like that? And it's gonna be a mix of stories. Like, some will actually be scary. Some of them will be like, what the fuck? And some of them will be funny. Alright? Some of them will be legitimately funny. All right. So, anywho, I'm gonna start with our first one. I'm not gonna go into the details of that. All right. That's what I sat in on today. I just want to give you an idea, like, why I don't talk about this stuff. I know it's fascinating, but I'm not going to go into the details. Because that's still an ongoing case. Echo, welcome in. Welcome in, Echo. All right. Hey, Echo, just as a heads up, tonight's stream is 18 plus. Okay? Tonight's stream is 18 plus. That's right, Bandit. You understand. Tonight we're going to be talking about IRL murders, talking about people dying for real and in real life, and all sorts of terrible things that I was privileged to see. And so, yeah. It's good to see. It's definitely good to see you. It'll be rare that this sort of stuff happens, because it tends to be a bit of a downer. But I just want to put that up front. If you're not 18, please skedaddle. Go watch the Care Bears. I don't know what you kids do these days. All right, I'll start with our first story to kind of set the tone. It's actually one that I tell at my interviews. All right. Yeah, you have a good night too, Echo. And no, that's nothing against you. I'm required by TOS on both YouTube and on Twitch. When I talk about this stuff, I am required to make the streams 18 plus, and I am required to tell people that if you're not 18 plus or older, you have to leave. Okay. I am also required that if you're not 18 plus, to time you out or ban you, depending on circumstance. All right. So this story, this is actually one I tell in interviews. All right, and it's pretty heavy when you think about it. It is god awful. And if you are a parent, for those in my stream who are parents, this will probably hit a lot harder than for those who aren't. But I call it duality. All right. And because it lives rent free in my head. It's this juxtaposition of two very similar circumstances, just 2 weeks apart. So I want to say it was about a year ago, maybe two. We got a call at 7 o'clock from the ER was saying that we were going to go into the lockdown. Okay. The reason why? We had a gunshot victim coming in. And coming in really fast. Really, really fast. Like 3 minutes or less. We didn't know where the shooter was at, and that was just standard procedure. If you don't know where the shooter's at, you lock down the entire hospital so that way the medical staff can feel safe. All right. And so we had this gunshot victim who ends up being some 15, 16-year-old kid get rolled in by the ambulance. Okay. I had to greet them at the door because that was kind of policy to let them in. And it's not good. There's blood everywhere. There's this machine called a Dumas machine. All right. And normally, if you see someone with that on them, that means that they're not going to make it. There's still a chance, okay? There's still a chance. The machine exists for a reason. It does CPR for a person because human-based CPR is unreliable, but a machine that does CPR is consistent and can keep the beat necessary to keep someone alive. And that was already strapped to his chest. So EMS wheel him in, and there is a ridiculous amount of blood, like anime levels, except it's not anime. You name it, by the way, and almost every single like anime trope that involves blood, I have seen. All right. And this kid, his eyes are open, but like his eyelids are open, but his eyes are rolled up in the back of his head. EMS look at me and they're just like, just shaking their head no and cross and doing that gesture where it's like, he's not gonna make it. And they end up being right. When they get him into the ER, into the trauma room, they can detect a heartbeat on him. But when they rush him up to the OR, he's gone. By the time they get into the ER, all right. YouTube, we're done. There we go. Okay. Time they get him into the ER. By the time they get him into the OR, he had died going up the elevator. I wasn't the security guard that had to escort him up. I know there was someone who did. And we find out down the line when his mom eventually comes in that he is like he was like a straight A student, that the last thing he said was something like, "Mom, it was Ernie," because like he called her before he lost consciousness after getting shot, and that he was on his way to go work at McDonald's. Odds are he probably stopped someplace he shouldn't have to do or help something he shouldn't have. That's probably just being real. All right. That happens a lot, unfortunately. But that one lives in my head because I have seen a lot of children die. I have seen a lot of people die. I have seen an absurd amount. All right. You kind of become numb to it after a bit. And so that one lives in my head, though, because you have the mom crying, cursing, trying to make sense of all of this and just not being able to, because no parent wants to see their child dead. Absolutely none. Absolutely none. And it's... Fast forward 2 weeks later, same time, another call, same lockdown, gunshot wound, but this one's different. See, the first kid, he got 3 in the chest, all right, at a very close range, and that pretty much is going to put anyone out. It'd be a miracle for him to live. But the second kid comes in and he's conscious. Not only is he conscious, but he's bragging to the EMS that he got shot, because he got shot in the ass. All right, which is like, if you're going to be shot, that's one of the places that you actually do want to get shot in. And he's bragging that he now is street cred, that he's super tough, he's invincible now, like all that 17-year-old bullshit. And same thing. The detectives show up like they did for the first one, because they always do. Except this time they can actually talk to the person. And he knows who shot him. And he refuses to tell them. Absolutely refuses to tell them. And the detective, who's done this for 30 years, is pleading with him. Please, just... You're going to end up dead. Tell me so I can stop this. Tell me. And he refuses. And so the detective, she walks away. And just like the first one, his mom is sitting there, crying, cursing, trying to make sense of it all. Because she didn't raise her son to be like this, but yet he turned out like this. And she knows that the path that he's going on is going to lead to his death. And that has stuck with me. It's nearly identical. Is seeing one kid come in dead. And seeing his mom cry and grieve over his death, and then seeing another kid come in having lived through getting shot, and seeing Um, and seeing his mom cry and grieve because she knows her son's going to end up dead. And that's why I call this. That's why I call it duality. It's. I hope that kid's okay. I really do. The one that lived, the second one. But like, I even said something to him myself. Like, I even told him about the kid that came in too, and he didn't want to listen. So I don't know. He's 17 and invincible. He's probably 18 now. But like I said, if you're a parent or if you've raised small children, that story is absolutely horrendous and horrible. Because really, it is scary. That is an absolute. That your child, I don't know, maybe he was just buying marijuana. Okay. Whatever. The first one. And ends up dead because of it. That's terrifying. But not just that. It's also terrifying that your kid might live through something like that and then refuse to cooperate. And and put themselves and other people at greater risk. So, those are the sort of stories I'll be telling tonight. It's things like that that are extremely heavy. Do not listen in if you can't handle it. Alright? Please don't. I don't talk about this stuff for a reason, but Halloween, All Hallows Eve, seems like the most appropriate time to ever talk about this. Because to me, spooky, scary stuff, the woo go, it's fun and interesting. The supernatural is, but nothing is more terrifying than real life. Absolutely nothing. All right. So, any questions before we go to our next one? Mm-hmm. Anyone? Any questions? Pop, pop, pop. Okay. If there are no questions, we'll move on to our next one. Let's see. I don't think it's time for a palate cleanser yet. Okay. Let's see. Oh boy. But perhaps one that's a bit more action oriented. What do you do when, and I want you to think about this, what do you do when someone wants to fight? You don't even know them. You know nothing about them at all. But they just want to fight you because you exist. What do you do? So, The way I remember this one is by the terrible word that we're called, and I will not repeat it. All right. It is the slur for black people. But I remember this one. And because this little 5'5" guy hopped up on so many drugs. I don't even remember all the drugs that he was hopped up on. Walked up. Was like going up to staff, and eventually when like we got called in on it. All right, so we had to go up there. We had to police him. Okay. And walked up to staff and was like, "You want to fight?" And you can fill in what the actually is. As I said, it's the racial slur for black people. That's yeah. Funny thing is that he was 5'5". He was white. He was Caucasian himself. He was not black. So, and myself and the other officer that responded to it, we were both white, and yet he was calling us that. So, like, I found that humor. I find the humor in that, but this was just pure chaos. Not in the sense of everything that could go wrong went wrong, but I do have a story like that. Like I said, stick to the very end. All right. But in the sense that he was going to fight someone and it didn't matter because his brain was hijacked by so many drugs that he just wanted to hurt someone. And again, that's terrifying. It is beyond terrifying. Like, most people aren't going to run across that working at a hospital. You're more likely to, but it's beyond terrifying that there are people out there who will make that choice, who will inject themselves with who knows what, from where, just for a 10-minute high that becomes this 50-minute rage fest. So here's this 5'5" guy that we get up to the ER, and he's screaming at everyone and anyone, "You want to fight?" Yeah. And so we kick him out. That's step one. We gotta get him off the premises. Nope, you're done. Out. And we start staying back, but we start chasing after him. Like, not chasing after him, but following after him. When he rips off his shirt. And that's always when you know someone's gonna get into a fight. They always, like, I don't know what it is, but people rip off their shirts when they're about to get ready into fights. It's so weird. But he rips off his shirt and winds up and clocks my partner. Like, I mean, we could see it coming, but like, it's still like, it's not like a video game. Fights, you don't win a fight. No one ever wins a fight. You survive it. And what do I mean by that? All right? You survive a fight because, let's say you beat the guy. He might get pissed off and he might come back with his friends and decide to kill you. And that's it. That's if you were the one who inflicted more damage. That's not even if you're the one who's on the receiving end of the beatdown. That's the one if you're giving the beatdown. You are lucky to have survived that fight without further consequences of your actions. Because some people out there will, in fact, and I ran across people like this working as a security guard, will in fact come back to cause more violence upon you as retribution for the initial violence. Alright. And so he winds up, he clocks my partner. My partner clocks him back, like light jab. And then I sprint in and tackle him to the ground. And like I make sure that my partner's okay, because like this guy's only 5'5". I got an easy 50-60 pounds on him. And I hold him down against the ground, put his arms behind his back, and I hold his arms closed because literally the week before we were given a lecture on using handcuffs. Like we all had handcuffs, but unlike the police, we're not authorized to use them unless extreme emergency. Okay? We don't have the same, because we're civilians. We're not like the police, although we're very police adjacent. And there was a point in time, not anymore, but there was a point in time where I'd just like walk up to police officers and we'd just start shooting the shit. Because like I had a badge on, they had a badge, like they just treat you with that same level of brotherhood and respect. Now it's actually kind of weird now that I think about it. Because I'm a judge's apprentice, I'm given a lot of just very silent privileges. Things that by no mean I shouldn't be allowed to do around the courthouse, but all the guards there just know who I am. Like, I haven't even introduced myself, but they all just know who I am, and like, yeah, it's cool, go. Yeah, don't make him mad. Oh, what? I sit quietly and do research. Sorry, tangenting. But, so we got lectured on using hand, so I'm sitting there, he's fighting, wiggling around, screaming at us, calling us the N-word, over and over again, while we're waiting for the police to get there. Okay? And so when the police get there, they take over, they handcuff him, shove him in the back of the car, and he starts vomiting. He just starts vomiting and doesn't stop. Because of all the stuff that's in his system. So, and this happened a lot. This would happen a lot. He ends up getting dragged back into the ER by the police, who also are on standby with us on him. And they're like, we can't take him to the jail until he's medically cleared. Which is true. Alright, which is our jail, in order to avoid liability, and in order not to be constantly full, was big on medically clearing. Like, people had to come there medically cleared. Alright. And so, that one sticks out to me because it is, and the reason why I think it's terrifying is it's pure chaos. It's not the extreme end, which we will get to. I do have a couple of them that I will tell that are absolutely, like, you guys will be pages, you will be looking at me and going, you're fucking kidding. You're making that shit up. And I'll be like, nope. Nope, I had to go to court over it. And that's how you know you're not making it up. But because he was so hopped up on drugs, he was going to fight anyone, and he wanted to. And that's a terrifying thing to actually think about, even if it doesn't seem like it. Someone randomly coming up to you and punching you in the face just because you happen to be there. That's scary. That is absolutely scary. Because you don't know where it's going to go from there. That punch in the face can then be them pulling out a knife to them being you getting stabbed. Alright? So, when I say that these stories are like delayed terrifying, that's what I mean. But I'm gonna go get some food. We're gonna start our ad break a little early because my food's done. Alright. And then we're gonna pick up. I actually have one about a knife that we'll talk about. as an icebreaker, as a way to like kind of be funny too. Okay, like a sad funny. We back. All right. Who's ready for more? Who is ready for more? Let's do one that's a bit funnier, okay? Let's do one that is a bit funnier. Sad funny, unfortunately. Sad funny. Alright. This one I call... Are you enjoying yourself, Artem? Are you enjoying yourself? Oh, we do have an ad break coming up. That's what I forgot. I forgot to start ads early. Whoopsie doopsies. Alright. We actually have ads right now, so I'm not going to start any stories. I'm going to sit here and eat quietly. Okay? So we're going to be back. I just want to eat here a little bit. So, be backs. The ad break is over. That's not it. That's not it. That's not it. There it is. Welcome in, Ray. It's good to see you, my friend. It's good to see you. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Welcome. As a FYI, if you are sensitive to, like, these are IRL things that I experienced while working as a security guard. Alright. I like to call this type of horror / terror delayed terror, because unlike spooky scary things, unlike things where like, whoa, a ghost, the horror in this, the terror in this is the fact that this actually happened. Um, like the previous story I just told was about a guy hopped up on drugs that was wandering around the ER trying to fight anyone he could. No reason. Just some druggie out there who just wanted to get into a fight with the first person that just happened to be in his way. And that's terrifying when you think about it, because most of the time we like to think that there's cause and effect for things, that things happen for a reason. But some guy coming out of nowhere, punching you in the face just because is really scary. So that's kind of an example, is like the horror, the scariness, the terror in this comes from the fact that every single story I'm telling you is, in fact, true. It's something that happened. It's something I had to deal with as part of my career working as a security guard. All right. And it is or was absolutely terrifying. Like this, the next one I'm about to tell you, I call it hopeless, not homeless. And this is a bit of an icebreaker. We told like two very scary ones. The first one's really scary if you're a parent. It's really terrifying because it does deal with the death of a child. And the death of a child who, if you want to watch it in VOD, the death of a child who, maybe at worst, was buying marijuana off the street. And that's it. And end up getting shot to death because of it. And so, again, that's terrifying. 1 second. I can hear my mom chatting in her room, which means that the mic might pick it up. I don't know. But, because she tends to be a loud talker, if you've ever seen that Seinfeld episode. But this next one is called Hopeless, Not Homeless. So, I was assigned to the ER that day. This was maybe 2 years ago. And I had to just watch it and make sure no one does anything. There's this very shaggy, dirty guy. Looks... I don't know how to describe the look. I don't like stereotyping homeless people, but there's a certain look that you get, like when you've lived outside, where he's probably 40 or 50 but looks like he's 60. There's something about being exposed to the elements, where you're sleeping on benches or in parks or wherever, that causes people to age, and to age a certain way. Alright. And he's getting more and more fidgety because the ER waiting room is full. The average wait time is 3 hours for non-emergencies. We can't turn people away. That's the one thing. ERs are not allowed to turn people away. Nor can we actually give out wait times. Alright, because a situation might turn into an emergency and then all of a sudden you get bumped up to the front of the line. And I saw that enough times where someone comes in and what is just like, what the nurses think was just like, oh, they're just vomiting, have a bit of a flu, that kind of sucks. But it's not like, oh wow, how did you get your head stuck up your ass? Although I did with more than a few of those. Figuratively, of course. Not literally. I never saw a literal head stuck up their ass. It suddenly becomes, they're now vomiting blood. They can't maintain consciousness. And they have to be rushed to the back because the nurses went, wow, okay, you might actually be dying right now. We need to fix this. And of course, whenever that would happen, usually about a half hour later, there would inevitably be some over entitled person. I don't want to use a gendered slur. All right, um, I know Karen tends to be, but I don't particularly like that. But there would be some over entitled person that would come up and be like, "Hey, we've been sitting out here for like 2, 3 hours. That person showed up about 10 minutes ago, and they were rushed back there. What gives?" And this person's here because they like cut their hand while chopping onions or some bullshit thing like that, and it's the worst thing ever because like it's a deep cut, but it's not to the muscle. It's just through because the way that your skin is layered is you have skin, then fat, then muscle. All right. Even if you're a skinny person, there is a layer of fat underneath your skin that is before the muscle. And so it's not to the muscle, but it's maybe like down into the fat, which sucks, hurts. I've been there. That's a different story for a different time. But yeah, um, so it was about a 3 hour wait, and this guy's getting more and more fidgety. And it's getting close to 7 o'clock, which is important because the homeless shelter where I live, majority of the homeless shelters close their doors at 7. If you're not in line to be at the homeless shelter to get a room at 7 o'clock, if you're not in line, then you're not being let in. And I disagree with that because stuff happens. Stuff happens, but I don't make the rules. I had to enforce them. So he starts getting fidgety. It starts making the staff nervous. They ask if I can go look into it, and I go over there and I go like, "Hey, can I help you?" And he's just like, "Oh, I'm not. Like, I don't remember what he says." Fast forward, he starts throwing a scene, and he starts throwing the biggest fit. It starts getting a little like indicative of being violent. So, first things first, we're gonna get him outside. This waiting room's crowded. Like he's indicating that he might do violent things. All right. And this waiting room is totally crowded. So we get him outside right away. Right away. And it's like, hey man, I know the waiting sucks. I get it. And that's when out of nowhere he pulls a knife out. This overly, almost comically large box cutter. Bright orange. Blade about 4 inches. Just out of nowhere. Halfway through talking to him. I want you to think about that. What's it like to be in that position? Alright. It's not the most terrifying thing I dealt with, but this guy that you're talking to, trying to calm down, suddenly pulls a knife out. You have a split second to make a decision. In that split second, I stepped back. I stepped back by like 4 feet. Alright. And, this is where it gets kind of sad. Is that I call over our radio because the police listen into our radios because like we work with the police a lot. They listen to our radios. I call that he has a knife and I need police here right now. And he takes that knife and he puts it to his own throat. And he starts making threats of suicide and starts going through this whole bit and this whole spiel about how he doesn't want to, like, he's tired of this and he just doesn't want to be here, and like, it's a lot. It's a lot. Especially since he's sitting there with a knife on his jugular. All right. And eventually the police come and they take over. And as soon as the cops get there, I back off. They have bulletproof, stab-proof vests. I don't. All right. The only thing I ever had, I had a taser that I wasn't supposed to have. We were not supposed to have tasers. But this is what I always told. This is what I'd always told the people I trained. This is what I would always tell. This is what I'd tell Chief, because Chief and I would talk about this on the way home a lot. They didn't want us to have tasers. They only want us to have handcuffs. And they didn't want us to have vests. All right. The hospital didn't want us to have tasers because they wanted to avoid liability. They didn't want us to have vests because then we could make an argument that this job is more dangerous than what they advertise it is. And it really is. It really, really was. It really was. I'll get to some things. But yeah, so I let the police take over. That's when he starts going through this whole spiel again, this whole song. And the one thing that kind of, like, one of the officers who apparently was homeless himself, starts talking to him, and it's like, man, I've been in your store, and it's like, no, you have. I should just end it now. I'm hopeless, not homeless. And that's why that I call it hopeless, not homeless, because he keeps repeating that over. And like the officer who was homeless, who managed to thankfully pull himself out of that situation. How? I don't know. I never got to talk to him about how. Comes up and talks to him while the other officers talk to the ER staff, and eventually they, after like 2 or 3 hours, they manage to get the knife out of his hand and get him a room. Okay. And they managed to walk him back to our room. And now for the punchline. Now for the sad, hilarious punchline. 2 hours later, I walk past his room because I'm doing patrols. All right. And he's in there, big smile on his face, just cheesing like super hard, watching a movie on TV, has a bag of popcorn, and is just sitting there snacking on that popcorn. And it's like, you went from ready to unalive yourself, ready to commit suicide, with a knife against your neck, to, man, this room's awesome, the TV's awesome, this popcorn's awesome, life's great, in a relatively fast amount of time. And the sad thing is, that was very common for homeless people. I had he was a homeless vet. Because one of the things that they learn, because again, at 7 o'clock, yeah, it wasn't bipolar though. I mean, I kind of agree, but like, at 7 o'clock, the homeless shelter closes. You have to be in line by 7. All right. And what a lot of homeless people learn is that if they say the right words, do the right things, they can get three hot meals and a cot for a night or two, which is not what the homeless shelter gives you. The homeless shelter doesn't give you three hot meals. At least ours doesn't. It might give you breakfast, maybe. Um, maybe. Like I think this. I don't want to mischaracterize the home because they do great work. I don't agree with their methodology. It's a conservative homeless shelter. That is the main homeless shelter here. I do live in a very conservative area, and so their methodology is you should be grateful that that we're giving you a place to stay. Maybe not the individual people, but the system itself. And you should be grateful that we give you a free, like, yeah. Yeah, I think you guys get the idea. All right. But yeah, it's like I had another homeless guy I had to walk out, and he was trying to get, like, because they learn this is that they can say the right words, like if they're suicidal or if they act like they're homicidal, i.e., wanting to kill other people. They will get a 48-hour hold. And during those 48 hours, we have to feed them. So now they have a TV, they have a warm bed, they have companionship because they have the nurses who will have to come and check on them. And a lot of them are, like, they'll do their job, but a lot of them, like, they'll chat just to be, polite. All right. Although one of my favorite ones, it was the nurse I had a crush on. Like, oh my goodness. She was a redhead and just super attractive, and I remember her storming out of a room. It wasn't with a homeless guy, but it was like with two 60-year-old guys who were like just the most misogynistic slobs of the earth that you could ever imagine. Like, they definitely came out of the 40s. I don't know how else to put it. All right, they were very much still in that mindset of, woman, get me a drink. Woman, do me, and it's like, oh wow, gee, my grandpa had dementia and he didn't do that. And she comes storming out of the room, and her face is flushed red because she's been dealing with these guys for like the past hour, and finally she's able to dismiss them. I don't even remember what was wrong with them. And one of them wrote down their phone number and gave it to her, which is just like, wow, you're 60, she's 25. I hate to break it to you, but I don't think she's interested. But, yeah, that's a sad reality that a lot of homeless people, they realize that if they say the right words, they can get a place to stay. And I cannot tell you how many times I saw that. The amount let's see. The amount of times I saw that. Sorry, I have a handwritten list here of stories, and I'm looking through and being like, okay, which one to tell? Which one to tell next? I want to do an icebreaker one. Ducky! Oh, Ducky! Yeah, I have a list of about 15 here. I don't even think we're going to get through all of them. I might even save the best ones for another time. Welcome in, Ducky. Thank you for resubscribing. Alright, thank you for renewing your subscription to the library. Let's keep learning together, okay? What'd you learn? What did you learn? No, you should never dox your friend. Ever. I don't think they're your friend anymore. Or if they are, that's pretty incredible. But, today, in honor of Halloween, I'm telling terrifying stories. Oh my goodness. I'm telling terrifying stories. What sort of pizza, by the way? I'm telling terrifying stories from the 3 years I worked as a security guard at a hospital. 3 years of working in law enforcement. Let's see. Yes, and more like delayed terror. More like traumatizing. Not in the colloquial sense, but more in the holy shit. Like more in the actual like he I'm in therapy. I can make a joke about it, but no, I really am in therapy, all this stuff. Oh gods. Oh gods. I mean, the square and Alfredo sauce. Like, you take out the it's the no cheese that ruins it. Like, I wouldn't eat anchovies, peppers, and olives, but I can see it. I can see it. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I went to security, and forgive me, I am eating. All right, I'm gonna let you tell your story, Ducky, and I'm gonna eat here real quick. Mm-hmm. 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 Oh, that's great. You have to eat the bad pizza. You know what the good pizza should be? I hope when you sent him the good pizza, it was it was a round cheese pizza with no sauce and no toppings. I mean, yeah, but still. All right. This next story I call The Angel of Death. Does anyone know what an angel of death is? That's a good pizza. Oh my goodness. I don't eat red meat, but I can. That is good pizza. That is a very good pizza. Pages, does anyone know what a angel of death is in a hospital setting? I'll give you guys time to respond while I eat some more. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. True. But Azel, that's good. That's wow. Wow. Way to have your theology down. Um, I don't know the aircraft term, but in a hospital setting, an angel of death is someone who arrives to put a person out of their misery. It can be a family member. It can be a hospital worker, but it's someone who takes it upon themselves to Jack Kevorkian people away. I hate to break it to you. No, I haven't. Post it in the Discord. I hate to break it to you, but that's illegal. Killing people, even when they're in pain. All right, even when they're in pain, even when they're suffering, is illegal. Okay, you don't have that right, even if your intent is good. But in this instance, this guy's intent was not good. It was far, far from it. All right. This woman was in the ICU. All right. And supposedly her boyfriend shows up to visit her. Okay. And the nurses find him crouched over something in his hand by her IV port. And that's when they call us and let him know that security's on the way. Okay, I'll look into it once we're done with this story. And he sprints, like, we take the elevators, so something tells me he's done this before, because he sprints for the steps. Alright. He took the steps instead of the elevator. Most people would take the elevators, but he sprints for the steps and takes the steps down. And so he's already gone by the time we get on scene. Alright. And we have this woman who's in the ICU who's now pearl clutching and like, no, I need to see my I need to see my boyfriend. He needs to come in here, needs to help me, needs to take care of me. And is insistent while the nursing staff are trying to get her to lay down. Like, she's almost to the point where she's a problem for us. Okay. And eventually she does. Where the nursing staff are trying to get her to lay down and, like, not harm herself because she's in the ICU. I don't know what's wrong with her, but people don't go to the ICU for happy, fun times. Okay? Alright. The fact that she's able to sit up is amazing. And eventually, when she can't be convinced to, like, stay where she's at, stay put, she signs out AMA. But, she can't walk. She can't move on her own. She actually needs someone to push her. I end up being that someone, and I push her down. And I push her all the way down back to the ER, because, like, she was gonna wait in the ER for a taxi, quote unquote. But when we get down there, she was incredibly unsatisfied with how I had been treating her. And I'd been treating her with nothing but respect. Alright. Because she was talking to me about, like, how the nursing staff and how this and how that, and I was just responding like, hey, I mean, I was still pretty new. This is like my first year. Down the line, I just eventually learned to either ignore it or to like respond like, hey, I just work security. This is a 15 an hour job to me. And like, for whatever reason, something I learned is that when you tell people that this is a 15 an hour job, they instantly just feel like, oh, oh, and like they stop trying to take it out on you. I don't know why. I can only guess, but they stop trying to take it out on you. Okay, which I do have a funny story that I'll tell later on, because this story is actually set up for the next one afterwards. But so she tells, so she's getting very, very angry at me, and eventually asks for my name, for all my business, and I'm not obligated to give out my name, and I actually made it a point not to. When we got to that point, I'm not obligated to give out all my business. Um, what I did is I gave her my unit number. So police, if you didn't know this about police and security guards, is that we're all assigned unit number because we're not supposed to use names over the radio because the radio could theoretically be listened into by anyone from the public. So we're all, for our own safety, assigned unit numbers. Mine was 172. All right. Which, fun fact, on the off chance any of my bosses are listening to me, don't check the back of my old badge. I promise you, I did not, no, I did not engrave 172 in the back of my badge the day before I left. Nope, nope, nope. Nor did I throw out all the numbers on the key tags because I was tired of people being like, those are my keys, when they were all the keys were identical and the same. The only thing that was different about the keys is what numbers they were. No, I did not. My second to last day, I didn't go through and throw those all out. No, 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 no. Uh-uh. Uh-uh. No, I promise, bosses. I solemnly swear. I didn't make plans and execute them knowing that I would never see you guys again. But she ends up collapsing in the ER while waiting for her taxi. Because again, she was in the ICU. Based on that, the doctors label her incompetent to make her own medical decisions, and then forbid her from ever going AMA until she's fully healed. That's where her part of the story ends. Where it gets weird and terrifying is at the end of the night when I was doing my building patrols and lockups, because we had to patrol the buildings and lock them all up once it came dark out. Alright. And the education center, which is on the other side of the campus, alright, because we are a teaching hospital. Half of it's a hospital, the other half is a school for the new doctors. So in the education center on the other side of the campus, I randomly run across this scruffy as hell guy who is holding like he's stepping out of a classroom, holding a plastic bag that looks like it has paint and some canisters in it. Like, it is bad vibes. And I'm like, I call it out over the radio and then I confront him, because that's my job. My job is to confront people. And I ask him, what are you doing here? And he's like, I'm here to see my sister. And that's when it all clicks. His description matched the guy who was trying to more than likely kill the girl before. Who the nurses chased off and who sprinted down, and he got lost trying to find his way back in. And I realize that, and I call it out over the radio, and then he starts grilling me about who are you talking to, what's going on. And I'm like, sir, like keeping my distance, like keeping 3 feet away, because a plastic bag that looked to be full of paint and canisters. So please don't do this. You'll destroy your brain. All right. One of the cheapest ways to get a high is to huff paint. And I mean, I hate to break it to you, but if you've ever been to a grocery store, been to a gas station, and there's paint next to socks, and you're like, gee, that seems like a weird place to put those two things. That's because those are for people who are going to huff paint. They spray the paint into socks, and then they inhale it, and that gives them a high. All right. Yeah, odds are he had just huffed paint or some other form of drugs, and that he probably had heavier shit in that bag too. Okay. And here I am by myself, a good 10 minutes away from anyone else being able to get to me, confronting him. I mean, I still called it out over the radio. And so and he starts asking me, like, he starts demanding everyone's information in our security, starts demanding everyone's names, everyone's this, and same thing as his. And remember, he said sister, but she kept saying boyfriend. That's how you know it's bullshit. Um, demanding all of this information, and I'm only required to give out my unit number, 172. Here's the phone number to my bosses if you want to register a complaint. If you tell them I was dealing with the ones, they'll know exactly who that is, and they will call me back into the office and we'll sit down and chat about it. And that's kind of how they worked, and I respect them for that. I respect them greatly. I had a really shitty job. I've talked about FedEx before I did the security guard thing, and I cannot say how much I am so grateful I had the managers I did. Because I believe them. I legitimately do, now thinking about it. Where they spent more time working with me and correcting my behavior than they did with other people who they knew weren't going to be going on and doing more important things. And they told me that. They were honest. They were like, there's things about you that you need to be aware of that we're going to work on. And I am grateful. I probably wouldn't have my apprenticeship right now if it wasn't for the fact that they took that time. And I'm loving every minute of my current job, honestly. That's another time. So here I am by myself, dealing with this guy who wants to know everything about me, where I live, etc., etc., etc. Yeah, go to sleep, Ducky. Go to sleep, go to sleep. I know we're not doing ASMR, but this is kind of more of like a chill. Everything about me. Alright? Yeah. And he's getting more and more angry as I'm staying calm. not telling him. I'm also trying to stall for the police to get here because they are, in fact, on their way. They are, in fact, they're just busy with something else. Because he does have a warrant out for his arrest. And he storms off to his car, but before he does, he takes 3 steps forward, like suddenly 3 steps forward, leans in and reads my name tag. Because this is before I learned that I could cover up my last name on my name tag. Because we have to have our name tags on us. And he's like, "Oh, Ruin." I won't, Ducky. "Oh, I see. Okay. I'll be seeing you later." And it's like, what? And then he storms off. "Yeah, I'm gonna see you later. We're gonna talk." And it's like, he just threatened to kick my ass after reading my full name. That legitimately, that entire encounter from the point of like, what the not being alone by myself, all the way to the point where he storms off because he realizes that the cops are coming. And he threatens to kick my ass after reading was terrifying. Put yourself in that position. You have a guy who is a deranged, paint-huffing angel of death. Someone who's willing to kill someone else for whatever reason. Who is now angry at you because you found him in a place he wasn't supposed to be, and you called the police when you realized who he was. And now he has your full government name and is threatening to kill you. Well, not to kill you, but to beat the shit out of you. That was legitimately terrifying. Yeah. Like, absolutely terrifying. I'm gonna eat a bit more. If you guys have any questions, we're gonna roll into the next one. Then I think we'll probably end on this one. Because, like, I have more than enough stories to do this again, and we might, alright? Like, I'm not even telling our biggest one, but in the honor of spooky, scary season, I think ending on this one will make the most sense. And because if you've been paying attention and, like, really imagining yourself in these situations, you can probably imagine why they're so terrifying. This one doesn't take much. The next one. So if you guys have any questions, feel free to ask them now while I sit and snacky. But we all having a good time. Everyone enjoying the stories. Ooh. Holy shit, Ducky. Yeah, that is an angel of death. Wow, I'm looking at the plane in our Discord, and it's like, woof! Alright. Take a couple more bites and finish this off. I'm going to tell what's going to be our last story for the night, but probably our scariest. And I think I might tell a couple more of these over the weekend. But I can sense my voice is starting to go out, and I kind of need that thing. So Okay. So I thought about it while eating, and I think we will pick this up over the weekend. I think it'd be a little fun to continue and tell you a couple more over this list. All right. But we're going to end off on this last one that I call the Reaper. And that's not me being an edgelord and being like, oh yeah, the Reaper. Yeah, blah, blah, blah. I'm 13 and blah, blah, blah. I'm so death and dark. It's because there's a practice in gangs that when you shoot someone and they survive it, yourself or someone under you send to the hospital to reap them, to make sure that they stay dead. And this story, although it's probably relatively quick, it legitimately disturbed me for a month to 2 months. Getting a sippy because my mouth is starting to dry. Alright. It's within my first couple months of working there. I'm not sure if it was my first lockdown or I know it was in the top 5 of them. I've only been working there for 3 months. I haven't quite got used to like the daily trauma that we deal with. I'm starting to, because I've dealt with stressful things before, but like the stressful things I dealt with was some man-child manager freaking over packages because not enough packages got delivered, so that means that their bonus is going to be affected. Alright. Instead of like, oh, someone's dying. Welcome in, Dickmaster. Welcome, welcome. You're just in time for the last story. Alright. But I think we'll tell a couple more of these over the weekend, because I do have quite the list here, but my voice is also starting to die. Also, Dickmaster, this is an 18 plus stream. If you're not 18 years or older, I'm going to ask you to leave. We are talking about IRL experiences that I had while working as security guard, alright, for 3 years. And when I say terrifying, a lot of the terror legitimately and truly is kind of delayed, kind of you have to think about it, but when you do, it becomes scary because it's something that happened. It's not scary as in, whoa, a ghost. It's scary as in, that was real life. That happened. I could have died. That sort of terror. But kind of is a bit traumatizing. And so, as I was saying, this one I called the Reaper. Because in gangs, when you shoot someone and they don't die and they end up going to the hospital, yourself or an underling follows up. And okay, I am obligated by YouTube and Twitch to just kind of talk about that when I talk about these things. It's why I don't do these streams that often. You send someone after them to finish them off. And I might have encountered a few of these, I don't know, but this is the only one that really sticks out to me. It was one of my first lockdowns. We get a call probably about 6:30, 7 o'clock at night. Usually that's when we get this. It's so weird. when we get that call that we have a gunshot victim who's come in and we have to go in lockdown, which means that we have to guard the inside front door. The inside front door of the ER as the entire hospital locks down. Alright. And so we're required to ask people when they want to come, when they're coming in, are you here to be seen? Because only people who are here to be seen may come into the hospital. We cannot turn people around at all for if they claim that they're here to be seen. So we have this young guy in the back who's been shot. I honestly don't know if he made it or not. I wish I could tell you guys. And we're up front in the ER waiting room, guarding the front door. And 10 minutes have gone by. We're just bullshitting, whatever. We've done the whole, like, are you here to be seen thing. Okay. Oh, good. We're gonna snooze this ad break so that way you guys get a chance to. Alright. And, it's winter. It is winter. That's an important factor. It's cold. That's why we're all staying inside, because we don't want to be on the outside. And we're not obligated to be on the outside. The deal that we had with the police is that we guard the inside, they guard the outside. Okay? So we're on the inside, avoiding the cold. The cops are on the outside, locking down the perimeter. When this kid walks in, he can't be more than 21 or 22. Absolutely can't. The entire time he walks in, he's wearing a big puffy winter coat. He has his hands in his pockets, in that winter coat pockets. He has a hood up, and he's just looking down. I'm not sure if the model can catch it. Probably not, but he's just looking down at the floor. He never once looks up at us. He knows that we're there. Alright, because he does react to us. But he never once looks up at us. So we stop him. And we ask him, are you here to be seen? And he just monotone goes, no. And we all look at each other like major something's off, something's wrong vibes. Because again, he hasn't looked at us at all. And that's when we're like, well, we're sorry, but we're gonna have to ask you to wait outside. We're in lockdown right now. Oh. Well, I'm here to be seen then. Again, we look at each other and we're like, we're sorry, but we're gonna have to ask you to wait outside. And that's when he looks up. And I have not forgotten this look. He is, at most, a 21-year-old kid. Alright, who is like 5'7", 5'8". But he looks up, and he looks us all dead in the eyes at the same time. And the look that he has in his face. It's this calculated determination where he is ready to 1v3 us, and he is confident that he will win that. He is absolutely like, there's 3 of us, 1 of him. We have combined together 600 pounds on him to maybe his 150. And he is staring us dead straight in the eyes after this whole time, looking down. And he is confident with his gaze now that he is going to 1v3 us and win. And his hands have never left that big puffy jacket of his, that big puffy winter coat of his. think whatever might be out there, that the police noticed this because they were standing outside and the door opened and two of them stepped in. Because, like, the police looked in and, like, something's off. Like, they had, like, that sense that something was off. And we all were, like, danger senses going off hard. Come here, bandit. Come here, boy. And, because when the police step in, one to his left, one to his right, now it's 5v1, and there's two armed cops on either side of him. He literally jumps back. Like, he jumps in the air 2 feet and back 3 feet. Like he's seen a ghost. And the police are like, can we help you at all? And he just went, nope, not at all, and then turns around and leaves. And we all look at each other and we all thank the police, because we were like, the plan was one of us was going to get shot. We were pretty confident that we never had proof, mind you, but we were pretty confident that he had a gun. And while we didn't speak about this, the plan was he cannot shoot all three of us at the same time. One of us is getting shot, the other two are taking him down. And put yourself in that position. Imagine you're with your friends. And you don't even have to have our jobs. You don't even have to have the jobs. You could be at a bar or whatever. All right. And you got this guy who, when he looks at you and your group of friends, he has this look on his face that I can take all of you. And not only can I take all of you, it'll be incredibly easy. I legitimately had the shakes for like a month or two after that. It was, that was something I talked about in therapy. It was, and it's still absolutely terrifying to think about. Absolutely terrifying. Beyond terrifying to think about. And I have more like that. I have more stories like that, which we'll probably tell over the weekend. Just a couple more. But I wanted to end on one that was legitimately terrifying and spooky, because bad vibes from start to finish. And that this guy, in a fight that can best be described as 600 pounds divided across 3 people versus one guy with 150 pounds, maybe 200 tops. When he looked up, he was looking at each of us like, you are all dead. And if I was a face cam streamer, I could imitate that look. I don't think my model can. I think this thing's a little too cheery. That's because I tend to be cheery. But, yeah. I think we're going to end it there tonight and find someone to go raid. I hope you enjoyed this. I hope you, I think we'll continue this over the weekend. Shoink. Go back to here. Tomorrow we have more Lord of the Rings. All right, and maybe co-working stream. I don't know. I don't really have any weekend plans. Follow me on Twitter, Twitch, YouTube, Instagram, all of those. TikTok. Okay. I know, boy. We're wrapping up. Right, meows. Right, meows. Okay. We are wrapping up. Right, meows. Okay. Um, let's see. Yeah, no, thank you for being here. Thank you for listening. I hope you found it entertaining. I hope I was able to spook you a bit. I wish my voice wasn't giving out. I wish we had more time to like deal with. I know who we can go raid. I know exactly who we can go raid. As a matter of fact, I'd even argue it's the only person appropriate to raid. All right. Wink. Huzzah! All right. I say this almost every single stream, and I really do mean it. First off, thank you for being my therapist tonight. Listening to me talk to about that really traumatizing and really terrifying things. Okay. Um, Second off, though, thank you for being here. Thank you for choosing to spend your time with me. Thank you for choosing to come here and enjoy the content because you could do almost anything else with your time. You could be out drawing, you could be out drinking, you could be celebrating Halloween, you could be doing a lot of things. But yet you come here to spend your very valuable entertainment time with me. And I cannot tell you how humbling that is. I cannot tell you. It does not go unnoticed because time, unlike money, can never be gotten back. You can always get money back. You can always get things back, but you can never get time back. And now, unfortunately, it is time for the stream to come to an end. It's time for you to go and weave out your own tale. However you choose to weave it, whatever you choose to do, weave it with kindness. Until next time.